Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Very excited to have you here today. Lots of new faces, which is really great to see. Just keeping an eye on time because we do have a lot of information to share today, both from the Innovation Cluster as well as Calvert Immigration Consulting Inc. We'll both be presenting today on Startup Visa. So again, we're really excited to be talking about this today, and we'll get right into it. So we'll start with the Innovation Cluster and the Startup Visa program from us, and then we'll pass it over to Jade. So we'll get right into it. So to start, Zara and I from the Innovation Cluster will be facilitating this first part of the workshop, like I mentioned. And here's a little bit about us. Zara is the Startup Visa Program Manager and the Business Advisor at the Innovation Cluster. And again, you can see her information here. And then my name is Anne Magella McKelvey, and I'm the Startup Visa Program Coordinator here. And I do all the administration and logistics for the program. There's a lot of different moving pieces to it. And so I really love working closely with our Startup Visa clients and seeing them progress throughout our program. And then just to look at today's agenda, we'll tell you a bit about Peterborough and the Kawarthas in the region, and then we'll get more in depth about the Innovation Cluster. And then Zara will share more about the Startup Visa program from the Innovation Cluster, and share some SUV client testimonials. And then Jade Calver, who is joining us today as well, will then share about the Startup Visa program from the IRCC's perspective and the immigration process and what that looks like. And then we'll have a bit of a Q&A as well. And our contact information will be shared as well. Awesome. So let's get right into talking about Peterborough and the Kawarthas. So just to provide an international perspective, because I know folks are coming from all around the world. And so we are located in Canada, which as you can see is in North America. And then within Canada, we're in a province called Ontario. Ontario is actually the most populated province in Ontario, and two major cities are in this province as well, including Toronto, as well as Ottawa, which is the nation's capital. And then to provide a bit of a provincial perspective as well on where we're located. So as you can see in the map, Peterborough and the Kawarthas is located in the green there. So as you can see, we're right between the city of Toronto, as well as Ottawa. And strategically, a lot of folks that go through the Startup Visa program really like our location because we're in a more like separate area from Toronto and Ottawa, but we're still in a very good distance from them as well. So strategically, it's a great location. And then a little bit more about our region as well. So I'll point to near the middle of the Peterborough and the Kawartha region, Peterborough. That's the largest city within the region. Kawartha Lakes is another well-populated area as well. And there's a couple other small towns and villages within the region. And our main office is located in Peterborough, as you can see, HQ. And then we also have a close partnership with Launch Kawartha, which is located in Kawartha Lakes. And then a bit more information about Peterborough. So Peterborough is actually one of the fastest growing communities in Canada. And this has especially happened with the expansion of the 407. It is a major highway in the province of Ontario. And that has recently been expanded to the Highway 115, which is the highway that connects from the Greater Toronto area, or as many folks call it in short, the GTA. The 115 connects from Peterborough to the GTA. And then the Kawartha Lakes is also a fast growing community. It's often known as cottage country. And a lot of folks, especially since the pandemic, are choosing to be within that community on a more permanent basis. There's a lot of great outdoor amenities within Peterborough and the Kawartha Lakes. We have over 250 lakes and rivers. And again, the convenient location from Toronto, again, makes it a very attractive location for folks. Getting into a bit more couple of fun facts about Peterborough and the Kawarthas and why this region is so vibrant. So Peterborough is actually ranked #2 city in Canada and #1 in Ontario for water tech startups. As I mentioned before, there's over 250 lakes in Peterborough. There's Peterborough and the Kawarthas. There's lots of waterways, and water technology is a fast growing industry. And so if you're a company within that sector, Peterborough and the Kawarthas is actually a very attractive place for you to bring your startup. And then another fact is Ontario's clean tech industry contributes $25.5 billion in GDP and provides 127,000 jobs. So again, the clean tech industry in the province of Ontario is vastly growing and contributes a lot of GDP. And again, if you're in clean tech, especially, if you're in clean tech and wanting to bring your business here into Canada, Ontario is a very attractive province to do that, and especially with the innovation cluster, which I'll get into a little bit later. And then for those companies that are in agriculture tech, a fun fact, here is $886.3 million in spending by Peterborough's agriculture sector on supplies and services in 2017, and over 2/3 of the sector's supply chain purchases were sourced in the region. So again, this region thrives when it comes to agriculture and that industry. So that makes it a really attractive place for those in agriculture. And then a fact about manufacturing in the region, the manufacturing sector is forecasted to grow by 11% between 2021 and 2026. We're seeing a lot of companies coming into the region to take advantage of the manufacturing in the region, and the manufacturing community here is quite vast and well connected. An example of that is through the Kawartha Manufacturing Association, is a really awesome organization that is now growing since the pandemic. And so manufacturing, again, is really attractive for folks in this region. And then here's a bit of a fun fact about the relationship between incubators and startups. And actually 80% of startups fail in the first 2 years. I think in entrepreneurship, that's a common fact, but actually incubator programs reduce that to less than 40%. So you might be wondering, is working with an incubator valuable for me? Is startup visa program valuable for me? And I think this fact alone answers yes. Definitely working with an incubator and working in the startup visa program especially can really help you be successful when you do come to Canada. And so businesses that were nurtured in a business incubator have a survival rate of 87%. And at the innovation cluster, this is something we provide so many great tools and resources for you to be successful. And again, we will talk more about what the innovation cluster can offer you through Startup Visa and through our incubator in general. Okay, so who is the Innovation Cluster? So we're a nonprofit organization located within Peterborough and the Kawartha region, and we support entrepreneurs in launching, growing, and scaling their businesses. And we do this through a couple of different programs. The first one is our full service regional incubator program, and we're actually in the midst of rebranding and launching a new incubator program for our regional clients in the new year. So definitely keep an eye on that if you're not following our social media. It's something very exciting we're working on. And then we obviously have the Startup Visa program, which we'll talk more about in this presentation. And then another program I want to highlight for you that the Innovation Cluster runs is Slingshot. It's a student entrepreneurship program for post-secondary students. So, and we'll talk more about this in the presentation as well. We're partnered with Trent University and Fleming College. And so we provide an entrepreneurship pathway for students in those institutions. And we run pitch competitions for students. We run a 7-week summer accelerator program under Slingshot. And so, yeah, it's at the Innovation Cluster, we offer lots of extensive programming for various entrepreneurs, and that's something we're super proud of and we're continuing to expand on. And then these are the 5 sectors we actually work in. And so we work in the areas of clean tech, agriculture tech, digital tech, healthcare, and social innovation. And so I alluded to some of those fun facts earlier. And I think if you're in those sectors, then working with the Innovation Cluster would be a strong asset because we do work in these sectors. And then these are our strengths. We have a really strong culture here, and our brand's very strong and really recognizable as well. We have a really awesome team here at the Innovation Cluster, and we're all super passionate about helping our entrepreneurs and seeing the entrepreneurs succeed and grow. And we also have a really strong network that is continuing to grow and thrive here. And so we're very fortunate here at the Innovation Cluster, and we're becoming more recognizable, not only within the region, but within Ontario, within the country, and as well as globally as well. And so, yeah, lots of great strengths here at the Innovation Cluster. And then here is a quick look at our team. And so you already know Zara and I. We have another business advisor who runs the regional program, another coordinator who focuses on student entrepreneurship. And then we have our executive director, Camilla, and then Alana is our director of operations. And then here are some key partners that we work with at the Innovation Cluster. A couple that I'll point out to folks here. We have a really strong partnership with Owner. Owner is a startup that is partnered with RBC, and they support entrepreneurs in incorporating their business. And those that work with us with the Innovation Cluster can also get incorporation services at a discounted rate. We have a lot of local partnerships with our Peterborough Kawartha's Chamber of Commerce, with the Kawartha Manufacturing Association, Community Futures Peterborough, Launch Kawartha, and we also have really strong partnerships with Shopify and Amazon. And again, these partnerships really help our entrepreneurs succeed and get really strong resources, whether that's for loans, for incorporating, for services for their business. And this list is continuing to grow here as well. And then these are our core funding partners. Like I mentioned before, Fleming and Trent University are really strong partners with us. We offer programming for student entrepreneurs, and having that partnership is a huge asset. We actually they also offer supports and programming for entrepreneurs as well. And then we also receive funding from the City of Peterborough, City of Kawartha Lakes, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs from the province of Ontario. All right, so I'm now going to pass it over to Zara, who's going to talk more in depth about the Startup Visa program at the Innovation Cluster.
Thank you, Angela. And hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know you are from all around the world. So my name is Zahra. I'm the Startup Visa Program Manager at Innovation Cluster. And today I'm going to talk more about like a Startup Visa program itself. So in the next slide, we'll see like what is this program that we're talking about. So this program is created by RCC, and also we powered an Innovation Cluster as well to help entrepreneurs from all around the world to be able to come to Canada, start and establish their company here, and we help them bring them here with giving them access to go through our accelerator program and be able to kind of like establish their company in Canada. So this program is offered by Innovation Cluster is very, very competitive. We all receive more than 60 applications per cohort, and we only accept 20 applications. We are so proud and confident to say this program is one of the best programs in terms of the quality of the content, and also all the mentorship and every resources that they're providing is one of the best in the country. So I'm going to talk more about it in details. So first of all, what you need to consider before applying is what is the eligibility criteria for this program. So first of all, you should be in one of the sectors that we work with. So you are there in are in health tech, which is any like startups as related in healthcare industry, or you are in digital technology, which is like it can be any software development or fintech, or you are either in clean technology, which is like any startups or companies aim to reduce environmental impact and promote sustainability. You can be in social innovation, which you aim like to solve a social problem and help like the well-being of like communities and also individuals. You are either in ag tech, which is like using any tools, any resources, any data to make the process of food production and farming like easier and more efficient. And also you can be an IP-based company. So in general, you need to work in these industries with like bringing an innovative idea, innovative solution to a problem in these sectors to solve like that problem in an innovative way. So we're going to have like this interview with you, and in this interview, one of the goals for us is to understand you are a collaborative and coachable team. We would like work closely with you when you're like get into the program, and we want to make sure you understand how valuable this information, this program is, so like you're like willing to work and like apply all those knowledge into your business as well. And also you need to like be willing to have this contract for the period of time, which is like 3-month accelerator and a 12-month of incubation program with Innovation Cluster. So in the next slide, I'm going to talk about the timeline of the program. So it begins when you like apply for the program. You fill out the application, and we're going to review your documents or application. We set up an interview with you. After the interview, if you're successful, you're going to get the acceptance letter, and you become like a client of us. You start your virtual accelerator like workshops and like a program for the 3 months, and at the end of month 3, we're going to have the exit interview with you. We're going to ask how this program helped you so far, and how like you kind of like succeed so far in your program. And at that point, that's the time you are ready to apply for your status, like immigration status in Canada. We're going to provide you with a letter of support, and you're going to like apply for permanent residency and work permit if you want. And you at that time, you become like a client of our incubation program, which is more self-paced. You're going to work on your business still. We require you to update us on your progress, and we are always there for you. If you have any questions, if you like encounter any difficulties, any challenges, we are there. You can use our resources. You can you know, like benefit from all the resources of the Innovation Cluster provide you at those times. So one more good thing about this program and Innovation Cluster is we are like your incubator as long as you need us. We're not going to like tell you at the end of month 15 we don't want to work with you, or you're just done. We are always happy to work with our clients as long as they need us. As long as you're a good team, you're a collaborative team, you are making progress and you're working on your business, we are so happy to help you. Okay, so in the next slide, we're going to see all the process one more time. So it starts when you for like send an application. We're going to review that. We set up the interview, and we're going to our due diligence process. And if you're like successful, you'll become a client of us, go through the 3-month workshops, and then you're getting your letter of support, and then you become like a client of the incubation program. Okay. So what is this accelerator program that I'm talking about? So this program is created to help entrepreneurs from all around the world, introduce them to Canadian market, to help them how to do business in Canada. It's like more than 30 sessions of like live workshops. It's not pre-recorded. It was like more like work for us, but we wanted to make sure you benefit enough from the program. It's like interactive. You get the chance to ask questions and like learn more when it's like not just like pre-recorded. It's like live sessions. In the first month, we're going to talk more about like how to do your business, how to do business in Canada. What does that mean? For example, you're a newcomer, you want to know how to like open a bank account, how to incorporate operate my company in Canada, like how's like taxing file in Canada, how is the hiring process in Canada. So in this month, you're going to like learn a lot about the fundamental of like doing the business in Canada. In the second month, we focus more on the technical part of the program. You're going to learn a lot of things about like business planning, marketing planning, cash flow, go-to-market market strategy. And also you get the chance to have like sessions and some meetings with like our experts and business advisors to go through your documents. They're going to provide you with feedback, and you get the chance to apply all those knowledge into your business and also documentation. In the last month, we focused on sales and how to pitch and like investment opportunities. It's more about like how to find investment opportunities and how to go for them. Okay, so this is all that we learn in this program. So in the next slide, I am going to talk about experts and resident. This program, this expert part is what we're really proud of in Innovation Cluster. We gather like more than 24 experts who can provide like coaching and mentorship in a wide variety of like areas. So if you have a problem in like, for example, creating your go-to-market strategy, we can connect you with someone who is expert in that part. If you want like to ask question about like human resources, we have a person who can help you in that part. So it depends on your challenges and your business and the industry you're working in. We have like enough and like very, very resourceful and useful like set of people with, I can say, more than 10, 20, 30 years of experience in different industries. This is like what we're really proud of. Okay, so in the next slide, I'm going to talk about how we are differentiate like with other incubators. There's a lot of things we are so proud that I kind of like mentioned so far, but what really like makes us different than others is we always prioritize the quality of mentorship over the quantity of clients. We just don't care about the number of clients. When you become like a client of Innovation Cluster, you become like part of this family. We're going to like know you, know your business. We're going to like talk to you monthly, like weekly, based on your needs. And it's more about just like a client and incubator. We are with you in this journey, and we want to make sure we can provide enough for all of our clients. Okay, so in general, what we are offering to you, just in like to review all of them. First, I talked about the knowledge you're going to learn. You're going to get the chance to talk to a lot of people, a lot of experts, like business advisors, and a lot of takeaways are there for you. And you know, as an entrepreneur, you're going to learn a lot of things about, like, for example, some skills like about problem solving, critical thinking, like risk management. And these stuff are not just about your business, and all of them can apply to your personal growth and personal life as well. And there's a lot of networking opportunities within like Innovation Cluster, a lot of events, a lot of workshops, and like a lot of partners that we have. And when you are a part of this family, you get the chance to know and use all of those resources and make more networking. Also, we always try to keep you accountable. We want we going to create milestone plan together, and we are there for you to achieve all those milestones. It's not just about we want you to get there. We're going to help you to get there. We're going to help you with any difficulties, any problems that you have, or something that stops you from like making progress, to make sure you have enough resources to like success in your entrepreneurial journey. And as an immigrant, I understand being an immigrant and an entrepreneur at the same time would be more challenging for some people. We understand that, and we are always there to support you emotionally as well. Okay, so in the next slide, I am going to say we are here to help you in your entrepreneurial journey. We are going to provide you with enough resources to make sure you are in the path of success. And I'm going to talk about some testimonials that we get from our clients so far. So I told at the end of any accelerator program, we're going to ask our clients how we did, how was the program, how it helped them so far. I'm going to read some of them for you. So the first one is, it was an excellent program because now I am sure that my decision to immigrate and establish a business in Canada is possible with the program offered by Innovation Cluster. Thank you so much. It is our goal, and we're so happy that we could provide that for you. The next one, the advisors and experts in residence have a fine balance of knowledge and experience to guide us. The advice and guidance received from their sessions were immense value to strengthen our business. Thank you so much. We are so proud of our experts as well. We know like those like knowledge that they're bringing to the table is like very valuable. Okay, so the next one is, the sessions have been extremely informative and useful, and it has motivated me as a CEO to promote entrepreneurship as a course in my own company for students. That's the outcome of learning experience, which has been just amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for all these testimonials. We're so proud of you as a client as well. So my point is not just reading these testimonials. What I'm trying to say is in like 100% of our clients so far, like we're happy with the program so far, and it's like a huge success for us. All of them has said they recommend our program to other entrepreneurs, which is like a great thing to hear. And it means like we're doing our job very well, that our clients are happy with the program and all the resources we're providing for them. Okay, so one more time, we are here to help you in your entrepreneur journey. If you like want to know more information, if you're looking for more information, you can check our website, and also for applying for the next cohort, which starts in February 2024. There's now it's the time to apply for that. We're already like onboarding some clients, and I think we're going to drop the link into the chat box as well. And also, if you have any other questions, you know me and Majella, we can reach out to us, and you can find our information on the slide and also on the website as well. Thank you so much. At this point, we're going to pass it to Jade from Calvary Immigration Consulting Inc. And Jade, is all yours.
Hey, thanks so much, Sarah, for that wonderful introduction to the Innovation Cluster. It's a pleasure to be an expert in residence with the cluster, which I've been doing now for quite a few years. So this morning I wanted to just do a little bit of a high-level introduction to the Startup Visa program. So what does that program look like from the immigration perspective? So this is me. So Canada's Startup Visa, so as Majella and Zara explained, so it's for entrepreneurs who want to come and bring their innovative and scalable business to Canada. And I can't reiterate those 2 points more, because if you're bringing a business, the Immigration Canada, those 2 points, so is it innovative and can you scale? Those are the 2 criteria that Immigration Canada really cares about. And so it has to be original. And then lastly, it's a startup. The Startup Visa is a permanent residency program, but you also can get an optional work permit, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So if we pop on over to the next slide. So let's talk about, does my business qualify for the Startup Visa program? So first of all, so as I said, it has to be innovative in nature. So you have to show that you're bringing a unique business to Canada. So intellectual property and trademarks are really important here. So look at your competitors, start talking to an IP lawyer early. This really needs to be something that your business possesses. You need to be bringing something new. The whole point of Startup Visa is for you to be bringing something competitive. So Canada, through this program, is trying to become competitive in the global startup, race for startups. So we want your business to be innovative in nature. Next requirement is that you have to be supported by an incubator. So this is why we're all here. The innovation cluster, as Zara so nicely explained, is designated as an entity that supports businesses. So you have to be supported by the innovation cluster in order to even apply for the startup visa. So you'll first pitch to them, and then if they like you, so it is a competitive program, but if they like you, then they will give you what's called the letter of support. And this is the golden ticket that allows you to then apply for permanent residency. So if you pop on over to the next requirement, so you need to have the majority of the operations in Canada. So this is especially true for those of you who already have a business outside of Canada. Maybe you're in wherever, Brazil, Iran, Vietnam, and you have a startup that is already somewhat successful. You can bring that business to Canada, but Immigration Canada will want to see that your headquarters and the main part of your business operations are happening in Canada. So by that, they want to see senior management, that the research and development is being done here. So just keep that in mind when you're applying. Next is that for the business structure, so you can include up to 5 founders on your business, but these founders have to hold majority shares, and each of them have to have at least 10% of the shares. So together, again, more than 50% of the shares associated with the business, and then you and 4 other founders max can apply, and you each have to have minimum 10% of the shares associated to the corporation. And it needs to be a corporation that you're forming in Canada, so not a sole proprietorship or a partnership, it needs to be a corporation. Next, as I mentioned earlier, so you can include up to 5 founders on the business. This is a common question that we get for startup visa is how many people can I bring with me? So 5 founders on the business, and then each founder actually submits their own application, and the founder can bring their spouse or common law partner, as well as children who are under the age of 22. And so each founder has to apply for permanent residency. And then there's an optional work permit, which I'll talk about in a minute, that you can apply for when you're applying through the startup visa stream. How much money do you need to bring for the startup visa? So again, this is a business program, so you have to worry about money. So you'll have to show that you have enough settlement funds for permanent residency, as well as for the work permit. We also have business funds in the startup visa program. So these are separate from the settlement funds. So if we just pop on over to the next slide, please. So these are the amounts that are required for your settlement funds for permanent residency. So you can see on the left column here, it says number of family members. So for example, if you are a family of 4, for settlement funds, you need to show just over $25,000 in available liquid funds. If you're applying for the work permit, you need to show double this. So it'll be just over $50,000 for the work permit. And then keep in mind, when we look at your business plan, we're going to want to see that you have the available funds to execute on the business. So for example, if you have something that has a lot of startup costs, let's say you say, I need $500,000 to execute on my business, then we would want to see that you or your co-founders have this money. If let's say you're starting something that needs a little bit less capital, so something smaller, then that's fine. It just needs to make sense with your business plan. So we can pop on over. So again, this is the work permit, as I mentioned earlier. So again, for your family of 4, you would need just over $51,000 Canadian. So keep in mind, if you or your business partners are applying for the work permit, we want to see that you have those available funds for the work permit. A few other important things I wanted to touch on. So each founder has to take excuse me, an approved English or French exam in order to apply. So you need about intermediate English or French, guys. If you've heard of the IELTS test or CELPIP test, that's what's accepted for the English. There's a new exam, which is called the Pearson English Test, which is approved. If you're a French speaker, there are a couple of exams that you can take as well. IRCC will check for regular admissibility issues. So you shouldn't have any major criminality issues, major health issues, or any, past immigration problems that would affect an application. And I just wanted to mention here, so people say, how do I get my startup visa application approved, Jade? So it's about the proof of progress. And I will say this until I'm blue in the face. So startup visa applications are approved by the work that you do between when you need to have a good idea, but between the work that you do between getting the letter of support and then the 2.5 to 3 years until approval. So they want to see that you and your team are really dedicated to progressing in the business. That is what makes or breaks these applications. So if you take anything away from today, from my part of the presentation, is make sure that you and your team are dedicated to making progress in the application. What are some benefits of the Startup Visa program? So it's a direct to permanent residency application. It's actually one of two open business applications at the federal level in Canada right now. We have business programs at the provincial level, but all of the provincial programs, they give you a work permit first. It's very conditional, and then you have to apply for permanent residency. Whereas this application, you apply directly for permanent residency. So yes, it takes some time, but you're not wasting your time, coming first on a work permit and then trying to transition to permanent residency. It also comes with that wonderful optional work permit for you to come earlier to Canada. So that's nice, especially if you have something on the ground where you need to be in Canada, or maybe even want your spouse and children here earlier. So that can be helpful as well. And then at the end of the process, so it results in Canadian permanent residency, which is a direct transition pathway to Canadian citizenship. Great, so let's pop over to the next slide. So how long does it take? So processing on the website is posted at 37 months. I will say that most of my applications take less than this. I had an application actually approved yesterday through the Startup Visa program that was supported by the Innovation Cluster actually. And they only took an hour and a half from the time that we applied, a year and a half from when we applied up until there was a decision on the application. So as you can see, it didn't take the full 37 months. And then for the work permit application, so you submit your permanent residency application, and then for the work permit application, the work permit application is processed according to the country in which you submit. So different visa offices will have different amounts of time that it takes to process those work permit applications. But generally speaking, average, I would say, would be between 4 to 8 months on the high end for these work permits. And so that gets you again here more quickly so that you can start working on the application, on your business. A few keys to success in your startup visa application. So as I said earlier, proof of progress in the business venture. So proof of progress is ideally you're revenue generating, but if you're not revenue generating in those 2 to 3 years, you're waiting on a decision. Hopefully you have very good evidence that you're close to being revenue generating. You should have a genuine team formed for the purpose of business. So don't take on 2 extra guys for your team because they want to immigrate to Canada. Everyone needs to be actively involved in the venture, and their background and education needs to make sense for why you're working on this business together. You need to have an MVP. You need to have proven concept of your business. So you need to have done your market research. And don't just do it by yourself and look on Google for a bit, like do proper market research that's well done and put together. IP is really king with Startup Visa. If you are a tech business, which I would find, I don't know, Zara, what your stats are, but I think the majority of your businesses are tech businesses. If you apply for permanent residency and you have no mention and you've done nothing on your business for 3 years with regards to protecting your intellectual property, Immigration Canada is going to give you a hard time. They're going to say, what kind of tech business doesn't protect their product? So just be mindful of that. Genuine integration into the Canadian business ecosystem. So my advice here is to make sure that you're actually, don't run, let's say you're coming from wherever, random country, Mexico, don't run a company, I always tell my clients, don't run, let's say a Mexican company from within Canada, because if you're just working here, all of your clients are in Mexico, your, let's say your developers are all in Mexico, then you're running a Mexican business in Canada. Whereas if you genuinely integrate yourself into the Canadian business ecosystem, so you've maybe hired some Canadian contractors, you're maybe working with a university to test your concept, you are going to conferences here, presenting your ideas, connecting with people, it shows that you're genuinely integrating yourself and your business and operating from within Canada. So just keep that in mind when you're working on your business. And then also I put a note here, surrounding yourself with a good team in Canada. So making sure that you have a really great, if you're going through the innovation cluster, you'll already have a great incubator who will be super helpful. But also think about making sure that you have an immigration representative, so consultant or lawyer, who is really well versed in startup visa. You should also have a really good business lawyer from the start, a good accountant, probably someone who's doing IP as well. Even if you're not, actively engaging them from the beginning of the process, you want to make sure that you have, I call it your circle of experts, to make sure that you have someone who's, in your corner if you run into any concerns or issues, who's an expert in their field. So I think that is it. Oh yeah, so at the end of the process, so when all is said and done, you've applied for permanent residency, maybe you've come on the work permits, you are working on your business, you're starting to gain traction. So Immigration Canada will ask for updates on your business. And generally, once you respond to them, then they will approve the application. So you and your co-founders get permanent residency, as well as your spouses and children. So you become permanent residents of Canada. Some benefits of this status is that it's permanent, you never lose it for the most part. You can access healthcare. As I said earlier, it's a permanent status. The residency requirement is still in effect. So once you become a permanent resident, so out of every 5 years, you have to live in Canada for 2 out of those 5 years, or else you can lose your status. But we have a direct pathway to citizenship from permanent residency. So out of that 5-year period, if you live for 3 years in Canada, then you can apply for Canadian citizenship. And also, if you don't truly want that work permit, but there is some benefit to getting the work permit, because we can use some of the days that you're here on a work permit towards that citizenship qualifier days. So if anything, sometimes that work permit can get you to Canadian citizenship more quickly. You don't have to become a Canadian citizen, but I think I have some info on the next slide. The processing takes 1 year. You have to show proof that you have English knowledge, and you have to take a citizenship exam. But I think as business people, one of the nice advantages of it is that it gives you visa-free access to certain countries, especially to the United States, which, if you all have startups that you're trying to grow, entry into the US market is often the second goal after Canada. So something to consider as well. So I think that's everything for my part. I am happy to answer any questions, and thanks very much for joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jade. That was really awesome. And then now we're going to go into a bit of a Q&A. I know I do actually see some questions in the chat, which is great. And so, yeah, we'll start going through the questions, and then If you have any questions, feel free to share them in the chat, or you can raise your hand, and then we can call on you to speak as well. So the first question, does all of the business fund have to be liquid too when we are applying for work permit or PR? Can't we use, for example, property we own to show our financial status? So I think, Jade, that's a question for you.
Sure. So with regards to the settlement funds, they have to be liquid. With regard to business funds, I would say it really depends on when you need them and how much it is. If you need over time, to invest $1 million into your business, most people, it would be bad financial practice to keep $1 million in liquid funds. So lots of people have some of it tied up in real estate or in investments that maybe haven't come to term. So we can use a combination of it. Generally speaking, if you're applying for the work permit, they will want to see that you have access to some of those funds. So not all of it needs to be liquid immediately, but they will want to see that I think some of it's liquid because you're going to have to access it when you first come to Canada.
Awesome. And then another question, can we do anything to expedite the processing of our application? So I can answer a little bit this, and then Jade could probably contribute as well. But so for IRCC, once it's kind of in their ball court for the most part when it comes to processing, I think my biggest advice when it comes to the process and making that process go quicker, is to be as organized as possible. And so make sure you have all your documents set up and ready to go. Make sure you're doing your research on everything you need. There's the IRCC website has a document checklist that has everything you need. And so if your plan is to apply and come to Canada, make sure you know everything you need, because the more organized you are, the better and quicker the process can be. And so when Innovation Cluster, when it's time to fill out your letter of support and get that issued to you, make sure the form that you fill out for us to do that is filled out correctly. Things like that, right? It helps to make the process go a lot easier. I'm sure Jade will say similar things. And then, yeah, I'm sure she's got more to add to this as well.
Yes, so I completely agree, Anne Magella. So being organized with your documents, same thing too. So as I said, you'll submit your permanent residency application, and then at some point, Immigration Canada will ask for updates on the business. And so there are a lot of things, like all of your education documents, all of your work experience documents from your career. These things you can have, I'm telling you now, they're going to ask for them. So you can have a lot of those ready ahead of time. They also will ask for an update on the progress of the business. So my recommendation is to keep, an updated progress report quarterly, so that, when they ask for an update, you can just merge your PDF files and send it into them, as opposed to having to create something from scratch. And then as far as making the process go more quickly, this is anecdotal and it doesn't apply 100% to everyone, but I find in general that those who come on the work permit, IRCC tends to finalize those a little bit more quickly. So something to think about as well.
Awesome. And then another question, which position is common for 5 team members? For example, is it okay to put investor, content manager, or accountant on the list? And so maybe I'll also get Jade to answer this one, because I know it gets a little bit more like nuanced for IRCC stuff. But for Innovation Cluster, it's definitely a mix, and it really does depend on your business and if it makes sense for your business. But in terms of IRCC stuff, maybe I'll see if Jade has anything else to add.
Sure. So I look at the co-founders as the senior management team. So you're not bringing a content manager nor an accountant, in my opinion, on the team. You are bringing a chief marketing officer, you're bringing a chief financial officer, who's then going to, because the idea, remember at the beginning when I said this needs to be a scalable business. So you should be creating jobs for Canadians and permanent residents. And so that means you're creating departments, with managers. So generally speaking, when it comes to those positions, I treat them as senior executives. So CFO, CTO, etc.
Awesome. And then another really great question. Are there certain businesses, sectors more successful over others? And do you see trends in terms of which nations SUV are coming from? Really great question. And so for the first question, are there certain businesses sectors? So for Startup Visa program, you have to be, and again, it also depends on the incubator as well. So for Innovation Cluster, we accept clients in one of the 5 sectors we work in. So that's digital tech, agriculture tech, clean tech, healthcare tech, and social innovation. But yeah, from IRCC for Startup Visa, they have to be in an innovative business idea, if that makes sense. And then do you see trends in terms of which nations SUV are coming from? So I think it varies depending on incubator. I know for Innovation Cluster, we have a lot of Iranian clients. And then we also have clients that come from South American countries. So we've worked with clients from Brazil and Mexico. We've also worked with clients from India, Malaysia, China, Hong Kong. And so, yeah, but we do see a lot of Iranian clients that go through our program. And then again, I think it varies depending on the incubator. But maybe Jade has more to add here as well.
Yeah, so with regards to where the applicants are from, I see quite a diversity when it comes to where they're from. Often they're from markets that we would typically associate with, an emerging market when it comes to startups. So they're trying to, come to Canada. With regards to the question, what was the first part of the question? I lost my train of thought, sorry.
No, all good. Do you see trends in terms of which nations Startup Visa are coming from?
Oh yeah, I said that.
Then the first question, are there certain
I think
businesses
that yeah, so I mean, as Anna Magella said, you have specific specific types of businesses that you'll accept. It's again, I think that you just need to people sometimes get a little bit sidetracked about the innovative nature of the business. Be careful, because sometimes we see businesses that do both. So there's maybe like a regular, not tech part side to your business. And in my experience, Immigration Canada doesn't really care about that type of the side of the business. So if you're selling good, so for example, I had a client who he had a software that he had created. It was an agricultural software. And then he was actually also, selling and producing this product. And Immigration Canada didn't care about anything with relation to the sale of the product, because to them, that wasn't the innovative nature of the business. It was the software and then the hardware that went with it that the government was interested in. So when you are presenting your businesses both to the Innovation Cluster and then also to the government, just keep in mind they really care about what is the actual innovative new technology that you're bringing to Canada, because you can do millions of dollars in sales, but if it's not innovative, then they're not going to really care.
Awesome. And then the next question, in which situation the SUV case will be failed? For example, if we are active during the processing time, but not generating the revenue, is this a big risk? So I think the biggest thing when it comes to whether an application is successful or not is, again, that proof of progress. And if the business is innovative, and so what we see for us is if there isn't progress in the business, then the likelihood of that application being accepted dwindles a little bit. And so again, it's that proof of progress. Does it have to be at the revenue generating phase? I don't think so. Again, I think Jade could add a lot to this, but yeah, I think as long as you have that proof of progress and keeping track of that, and the innovation cluster also has tools to help you like make that progress and that track as well. But if you're not quite revenue generating yet, I don't think that makes or breaks your application.
Yeah, so just to add to that, so there's no one thing that will guarantee a startup visa approval, but generally speaking, if I ask a team for proof of progress from the last year and they can't, you can show your wins and losses because you maybe have pitched, your business to, 50 different people in the last few months and nobody took you up on it. To me, that's still, you're trying and you're working at the business. The businesses who I find have problems with IRCC are those who just have nothing at all to show the government when it comes to progress in their business. So if I ask for a progress report and there's not a lot there to substantiate the work that, especially if you're a team of 5 people, that's a lot of people to be working on a business. And if you don't really have anything that you're doing, so, it doesn't have to be revenue per se, but let's say, for example, you've developed some sort of app, and then, to me, your app should definitely be developed by the time IRCC and launched like on the App Store when IRCC is checking in with you. And then you should also be actively testing it and perfecting it, maybe having a free beta option. So, as opposed to that same team, let's say they had an application and they really hadn't launched anything and it had been 2.5 years, and they have 5 team members on it, you can see how an officer would be concerned about, okay, is this team actually going to, operate this business once they get to Canada? So you just have to be mindful of that.
Awesome. And then another question, is there any hesitation for family companies from IRCC? So I think family companies are okay. You just have to make it clear so if you have family members that are team members, because oftentimes we've seen situations where they'll have a family member that has a stake in the company try and be a dependent. But then that can raise a couple of flags for IRCC. And so if you have family members in the company, make sure that's noted that they're a team member and such, and don't try and sneak them in as a dependent, because we've had a couple of times seen that with companies. And yeah, it's important to be as transparent as possible with IRCC. Again, I think Jade can add a bit more to this.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to family applications, it really depends on the background of the team members. As I said earlier, IRCC will ask for proof of everyone's education and of your working experience. If the person is very new in their career, or if their experience has nothing to do with the startup, you may run into issues. Everyone who I've worked with so far for a family, an application where there were multiple family members as the founders, they have been approved. But I will note that, they all were working, on a related business already in the home country. So it is possible, but the officers will be extra, they're going to scrutinize your application more as opposed to others, because they want to see, does it make sense that all of these family members are included on the application?
Awesome. Okay, there's 2 more questions in the chat. I think we might only have time for one, but we'll see. What is the basis of proof of a business by the officer? Finally, is full functionality of application and services needed? What is your role for the final approval of the startup? So I think we touched on this already a little bit. So maybe I'll go into the last question here. Is a non-essential member eligible for a work permit application now? So for the letter of support, there's essential and then non-essential team members. If you're a team, so if you have a team member within that is labeled as non-essential, you would put them as non-essential because they wouldn't need a work permit. And so if your team member needs a work permit, then you would want to label them as essential and then provide rationale as to why they're essential. And then maybe I'll pass it on to Jade as well to see if she has anything else to add to that.
Yeah, so I think that question from Hossein is coming from the announcement from the minister in June, who said that non-essential members would be eligible for the work permit. So they did announce it then, Hossein, but in the instructions online for the work permit, they haven't truly clarified it anywhere. So I just tell the teams, you know, because even if they're non-essential, the incubator is still going to have to say that they require a work permit. So honestly, until IRCC provides more clarification, just as a precaution, I am only applying for essential members for work permits at the moment.
Awesome. Okay, so we have hit 12 o'clock now. I know there's a couple other questions in the chat. Jade, Zara, did we want to answer those questions or are we tight on time?
Sure, yeah, I'm okay to keep going if you guys want.
Okay, cool. Because these are actually pretty good questions. So first question, can the immigrants go into business with a few members who are already in Canada or with citizenship? I think the short answer is yes, but I'll pass that to Jade just because I don't have too much experience with companies like that. So maybe Jade can provide a bit more context.
So you're correct. So the answer is yes. It just has to do with, remember the share structure that I touched on. So the founding members who are immigrating have to have hold the majority shares attached to the corporation, and each founder has to have 10%. So, you know, if you had just one foreign applicant and then 2 Canadians, then you just need to make sure that the foreign applicant has majority shares. And then the only other thing is that, you know, IRCC may scrutinize the business a little bit more because they want to make sure that you're not just buying into an existing business. So as long as it's a true startup, like it's new and you're starting a business, that's fine. You can't buy into a 10-year-old business. And quite frankly, there are easier ways to get to Canada anyway if you're doing that. So as long as it's a startup and you're respecting the share structure rules, then that's fine.
Awesome. And then another question, does IRCC issue I would assume this is work permits for all members at once, or will they do it at different times? For example, 1 member this month and then 3, the other 3 months later. So I have seen that with work permits. They could issue them at different times or decline one work permit or another. Again, the reasons can vary. But again, I think with permanent residency, like that initial application, I think it's an all at once acceptance or decline. I'll get Jay to confirm that though.
Yeah, so generally permanent residency applications, they'll send you, if you're outside of Canada, you get a letter requesting your passport to send in for visa stamping, or if you're in Canada, you get a landing letter. If your essential members of the team are being approved, then it generally means that everybody is approved, because in startup visa, they won't approve you know, one member and then say no to another person unless they're non-essential, and you're gonna know if they're not approving you, like they're gonna tell you. So they may not send it all at once, but usually it's, you know, within a matter of weeks that if there's a delay in approving one person, usually it's a matter of weeks, it's not months.
Awesome. And then I see two more questions in the chat. We'll answer those and then I think we'll stop it there. But the first question, can we add a significant deposit just a month before submitting by showing its resources? While we don't have enough 6-month transaction, this deposit can cover that. I would advise against that because the IRCC wants to see that you've had those funds, those liquid funds consistently over a period of 6 months, as you alluded to. But yes, they would definitely question why there was a big transaction right before you submitted the application. That could raise some questions with the IRCC. And then I don't know if Jade has anything else to add to that.
Yeah, so if you do that, I'm assuming it's either maybe someone's giving you the money, or maybe you're not keeping it in the bank because of inflation or currency issues. So if you do that, my advice is to show where the deposit came from, so the source of the funds. This goes, it also, during these applications, IRCC, at the end of the process, so settlement funds, IRCC can ask for 2.5 or 3 years later. And so just keep in mind that they may also ask for any deposits of over $5,000 is usually the amount. So keep in mind that they're also going to want to know where other deposits came from. So generally speaking, it depends. I guess my answer to the question is it depends. If you can show where the money came from, then it would be okay. If you can't show a paper trail, then you might have some pushback from Immigration Canada on it.
Awesome. And then last question here, can essential members with work permits, oh, sorry, it shifted, work in other businesses during his residence in Canada, as our startup doesn't generate revenue, doesn't make money, and can't pay payroll? So really good question. The government of Canada made an announcement back in June, and Jade already touched on this as well, but they made an announcement back in June that they would be offering 3-year open work permits instead of, it used to be a 1-year closed permit. So an open permit means you can work other jobs, whereas a closed permit you can't. But I believe Jade shared a bit with us ago that there hasn't been any acceptance, or there hasn't, that she's seen, there's been giving out of 3-year open work permits, but 3-year closed work permits. Again, this could have changed, but I'll see if Jade has anything more to add to that. Oh, you're muted, Jade.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be an open work permit now under the program. So we've started to apply for open work permits. You can tell by the code on the work permits that we're submitting, they're supposed to be open. However, we haven't seen any approvals yet since the implementation of the open work permit policy. So applicants should get an open work permit. But again, that's kind of a tentative thing based on the policy changes from the summertime.
Awesome. So that was the last question. Again, really great questions, folks. And again, Jade, thank you so much for assisting in answering those questions. There's so many moving pieces with the Startup Visa program from the IRCC and for us. And so really glad that you're able to make it to today's session and ask really great questions. And then here is some general contact information for the innovation cluster. I'll also go back and share Jade's contact information as well. But we're on all social media platforms. So feel free to give us a follow, like, or connect with us. Zara and I also have our contact information in the slide deck as well. We have recorded this session as well and will be posted onto our YouTube. And so if you didn't quite catch everything and want to watch it back, you totally can. I'll go back to Jade's contact information as well, if you'd like to reach out to her directly as well. But again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. Thank you so much, Jade, for joining us today as well. Your knowledge in this area is very vast and super helpful. And we hope to see some of you folks apply for Startup Visa program at the Innovation Cluster. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, everyone.